Αγαπητοί φίλοι και φίλες, καλησπέρα. Καλώς ορίσατε στο φακό του Hellenic TV. Σήμερα φιλοξενούμε τον Michael Martins, ο οποίος είναι ο συν-ιδρυτής της Peace. Λοιπόν, θα μάθουμε περισσότερα για τον Michael, για την Peace και για την έκθεση exhibition There is an Island που πραγματοποιείται στην Κυπριακή Ύπατη Αρμοστεία. Good evening, Michael. How are you doing today?
Kalispera. I practice.
Kalispera.
Yeah,
You
I'm
know,
doing okay.
I thought you might got worried for a moment. Is she going to speak to me in Greek now?
there was a slight moment of panic of like, oh, okay, I didn't ask this question before, but no, we switched to English, and I'm much more comfortable in this language. Yeah, I'm much more comfortable in this language.
Excellent. Now, I find like your biography, well, a quick look that I had, very interesting, Michael. And given your unique position at the intersection of art and politics, I would love to learn more about your perspective. Could you please share how you integrate art into your political and media work?
Sure. I think that there's actually like a lot of crossover between politics and art. I think in many ways they two kind of reflect each other. I think one of the big things that I've taken away, sort of myself and my partner Anastasia, when we started Peace, it was almost like you become very much in the front lines of the art world in a way that I had never experienced before. I'd only ever been on the political side and the media side. But being now on the art side, I can see how political decisions are starting to affect like the art market more generally. Things like surrounding things like taxation and just your bread and butter, like taxation, visa policy, and that type of thing. And I think the integration is kind of fun because in many ways, people in politics and people in media, they're very, very busy, but they love art. And there's like a unique sort of moment there where you can sort of bring people in from that world into the artistic world. And part of it's not a big part of what we do at Peace, but one of the things is introducing some of these areas where there are frictions in the art market, and that could be kind of useful for folks on the political side to know, especially as in the UK we're heading into an election, we're going to have an entirely new government. And if it is the Labour Party, that traditionally they've been a pretty big supporter of the creative industry. So that could be really also useful for us to continue to discuss in a couple weeks. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's quite true actually, and it's very interesting to listen to it. So, I mean, you wouldn't say that there is an art history in your background, like you used to be an artist or anything like that, or maybe just a bit of knowledge?
I am definitely not artistic. I can barely put together PowerPoints. So the idea of like being able to paint or sculpt or print make or any of the beautiful things that some of the artists that we work with at Peace can do sort of instinctively and like elegantly and in ways that you can never imagine. That ship for me has never even sailed. It's never been in the port. It's never happened. So I don't really have that artistic background. Anastasia, one of the partners of Peace, she's the artist. She's that's an area that she's a professional artist. She has that unique capability, and I think one of the beautiful parts of Peace is that we are able to kind of speak to different audiences where Anastasia can speak to the art world, and I can sort of engage a bit more with the political world and the government world and the media world. And sort of, I think one of the goals of Peace is trying to connect these different audiences together, like that speak different languages in many ways. And, they need a translator. And that's in many ways what we're trying to do.
Excellent. And what inspired you to create, the Peace? And what are your main goals for the Peace?
Yeah. So I think the idea of Peace, it sort of started when we were spending a lot of time in artist studios, and I noticed that 80% of artists' work is in storage. It's wrapped in these little sort of tubes, and it's sort of kept there, and nobody's seeing it. There's no real profile. It's not, importantly, it's not making the artist any sort of money or bringing them any publicity or prominence or prestige or any of these things. It sits there. And in many ways, on the other side of it, there are a lot of walls in London. There are a lot of offices and buildings and embassies and government departments and the like that want to make a much nicer space for the people that go there. And those are the same type of people that maybe they'll go to a gallery once a month, or they'll scroll on Instagram and follow a gallery that they like or whatever it is. But in many ways, the two groups aren't speaking to each other in a way that we think they could be. So the idea came from the basically thinking that artists have all of this beautiful work. There are all of these beautiful walls. We can sort of help connect the two, and then at the same time, from the artist perspective, they can get more than half of rental income from renting out a piece to a place like an office or a government building or anything like this, and that gives them something unique for many artists, which is a stable income. And that income allows them to pay for a studio, buy art supplies, do some of these things, because Absolutely. It turns out creating art is actually quite expensive. And at the same time, it also helps. One of the things that we do at Peace is we do payments by installments. So that's the rental side. And I think for a lot of it, it'll be business oriented. But on the more consumer side, like people that are going to offices and buildings and embassies and the like, they're going to see pieces on the wall and fall in love with them. And you can do that. But the biggest barrier traditionally in the art world is price. So what we think is, instead of paying, thousands of pounds up front, you pay it off over 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, up to 48 months. So like you can pay it off, and a piece that would go for £2,500, you can get for £20 a month for 4 years. And £20 a month for 4 years, at the end of that 4 years, that £20 with inflation is probably going to be like 10. So in many ways, like the idea is to try and both, we're an artist-led platform, so we're trying to create a market whereby artists, have that stable income and also are getting the publicity, the profile, and the exposure to the people that are most likely to want to buy their art. And on the same time, from the consumer side, we're trying to make it so that they can buy it and pay it off in installments. And it's not a huge sum. It's very small, little sums over time. And I think, we're trying to basically overcome the biggest hurdles in the art industry, with the idea being that ultimately we're trying to help make it so that artists' art is much more accessible to audiences around the world. Although right now, just in London, as it were.
And you've mentioned, excuse me, about renting as well, not just selling. So, I mean, which occasions someone would like to rent? Let's say if I'm having a special event and I have a few empty walls, and or
Exactly.
like the particular theme, and perhaps I will come to you and say, oh, I need like pictures, paintings with this kind of theme. Do you have anything? Something like that? I don't know how it works.
And also, Vasula, you come to me, you want a piece, we can have that conversation. Absolutely, no problem. But that is exactly the idea. So, like, one of our clients, they do like a quarterly dinner party, and for a quarterly dinner party, it's not like a huge thing, but they'd like a conversation piece, as it were. So, we work with them to every 3 months. They have a dinner party with a group of their work colleagues. Like our client's a founder of a business. So it's a group of founders. They come together, they have a meal together, and they have a piece on the wall. And he likes to find ones that are a bit more from like emerging artists, from artists that don't really have the gallery representation, or, they've had one show or whatever it is. And, we put together a brochure essentially of what pieces might suit the dinner party. It gives us a rough idea of who might come. and that's it. So we can do like the rental side for that. A lot of it is also just businesses themselves. They want to make their workers feel a bit more happy about coming to an office. And art makes people happy. So we work with that. Businesses, it's a bit more on the subscription side of it. So it's like 3 months, 6 months, we'll rotate pieces around and the like. And then, but at the same time, that's stable income for an artist too, right? So so that's why we're trying to do a bit more on the business side of it, just because it benefits the artist a bit more.
Of course. And how many artists do you have at the moment with you? Or well, I don't know how to say subscribed with you, or
good question.
Having an account with you.
They are gracing us with their presence. They trust us with their work. We have about 20 signed up. So we have about 20 signed up. They're predominantly London based, although we do have a few. We recently went on a trip out to the Baltics and the northeast of Europe, and we have a few artists there that we met that are thinking about joining, but predominantly it's London based right now. And they're a wide mix really of different styles. The majority of it is flat art. So it tends to be painting and printmaking and the like, just because that's a bit easier when it comes to spaces in London. It's a bit easier to put it on a wall rather than a sculpture which everybody has to walk around and that type of thing. And it's also a bit easier to ensure, again, to keep costs down, both for clients and then as well for the artists. But yeah, so about 20. But we're growing. People are coming in. So that's nice.
I know. You know what? That's what I was going to say, because don't forget it's only 6 months since. Is that right? 6 months since you've started.
A bit. So we've also been doing this kind of what's the right word here? It's our side hustle. I don't know what the Greek word is for that, but it's it started out as something that it was an idea that we had, and we've built it up. And now it's becoming a bit more time consuming. So I think, probably 6 months, maybe a bit less, maybe a bit more, around there. But now, we had the opening at the Cyprus High Commission. We had it was nice, very, very, they were gracious hosts. The ambassador was able to make time in his busy diary to come out and say some kind words. I think he called us a very dynamic artist-led platform, which is, music to our ears. So that's what we are. So yeah, and I think we have a few more signed up.
It's sold out within 48 hours.
Yeah. So it was pretty
amazing.
Quick when we launched.
Well done. You are doing well already. Well
we
done.
do our best.
Congratulations.
And I can safely say that the majority of that credit should definitely go to the team at the Cyprus High Commission. Marios, if you are watching this, we just want to say thank you so much for all of the help you were doing on social media. We would definitely not have been able to sell out our opening without you. But yeah, we did do it in near record time. And we had, unfortunately, people were asking on the day, like, can we still come? Can we do this? Can we do that? And it's like, well, we'll do our best, but there's no guarantees in this. But then people were able to come to the curated tour. So the curated tour was, we had in the exhibition itself, there were, I believe, 6 piece artists, 5 or 6, if I remember correctly. And 2 or 3 of them were able to come to the curated tour and give about 40 to 50 people a walkthrough of the exhibition and outline their thoughts about the work and their thoughts about how it sat within the exhibition itself. The guests were also very, they were very pleased. They got to meet the artists, have those conversations in a way that most other places, you don't really get to meet the artists. You don't really get to like understand from their words what they were feeling and thinking at this time. And that was very special for us too. So overall, it was a very, very, couldn't have asked for a better opening experience.
So how did you go about selecting the artists from Peace to participate in the There Is an Island exhibition?
Yeah, so we met with the High Commission it must have been the later end of last year, and they asked us about an exhibition. It turns out it was There Is an Island, and they asked us if we could put together about 5 or 6 Cypriot-born London-based artists from both the Turkish-speaking and the Greek-speaking communities of the island. And we were really lucky that we knew a fair few number of those artists because we're pretty plugged in into the artistic world here. So we reached out and they were equally enthusiastic, and it just turned out really well. We had some emerging artists like Hamid Uchak, who I think you might have met already. We had some established artists like Mihalis Karaisko. When it comes to Greek last names, I will be honest and say that sometimes I struggle. But Mihalis Karaiskos, I believe, is how we're going to pronounce that one. We have established artists like that, and we had, again, importantly, when it comes to the Cypriot High Commission, we had it from both the Greek and the Turkish-speaking communities, and I think it really came together well. We had actually a kind of a similar experience to the tickets, in the sense that at some point, some artists in London had heard that we were doing this, and they approached us to participate. And unfortunately, we had already agreed all the terms with the Cyprus High Commission and everything, and we had curated the show, and we had selected the pieces and all of that, and we had done all the logistics surrounding it, and it just didn't go as it's always nice, in my opinion, to have people coming to you rather than going to them. So we were very privileged. Our first one, we had a lot more. We were oversubscribed both on artists and on clients. So that's always nice.
So Michael, are there any particular pieces from the artists in this exhibition that you are especially proud of or excited about?
Yes, okay. Well, off the bat, I love them all. Like, every piece has a special place in my heart, for sure.
Yes.
I think the ones that I personally love, like the ones that so I can't speak for anybody else in piece, but myself. I love Phrixos's Barriers. Phrixos Papadopoulos. I'm sorry, Phrixos, if you're seeing this. I struggle with the last name, but Phrixos's Barriers I love. I also love Mihalis's Zarine after her shower. And then I think we were also incredibly privileged, really. We have one of our artists is a woman called Helen Michaels, who passed away a few years ago, and her family very kindly and generously allowed some of her works to be displayed. And we, from our perspective, that it was just, it was kind of almost like, I don't know. We get emotional talking about it, but yeah, it was incredibly gracious of them. So they allowed a few of Helen's pieces up. Those ones are not for sale or rent. Those are definitely not, but they are on display if anybody wants to go see them for the remainder of the exhibition up until I think it's the end.
Which is still August. Middle of August, Michael, or end of August?
I think it's towards the end of August. I have to check a bit, because I know that basically it's the Cypriot High Commission, so I know they're a bit more familiar with the end date than I am at the moment.
And when can we visit the exhibition? What days are your hours?
So there. If people go on to the Cypriot High Commission's Eventbrite page, you can see the High Commission does a guided tour. I think it's there's at least a weekly tour. I know that one today, for example, because we were doing some follow-up professional photographs of some of the pieces. But I know they do a weekly tour, and folks are very free to sign up. It's free. It usually happens in the middle of the day towards the afternoon. So I know that people have been coming from all over the country to visit, which is, again, not something we were anticipating, but something we're very pleased about. Yeah, people are coming from Scotland and Wales and all over the place. And even so, we had some tourist visitors, folks that were visiting London, they heard about it, signed up, and have gone. So if any of your audience wants to see it, it's a pretty seamless process. You sign up, you turn up, and you can scan the QR codes while you're there of the pieces. If anybody watching wants to, is listen to me talk and wants to either rent or buy by installments, it's up to you. But yeah, it's pretty seamless. And again, we're very grateful to the Cypriot High Commission for being such generous hosts and tour guides.
Yes, Mario's promised me a private touring, you know.
And he
So I'm
delivers. I
sure.
can vouch for him. He
Yes,
delivers.
he's good. Yes.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's really helped us along the journey. So again, all of the thanks to Marios and all of the thanks to the ambassador, both
Because sadly,
previous
I
and the
was
successor.
abroad at the opening, so I wasn't able to attend. That's the reason. I wasn't in the
Still
country.
friends. We're still friends, I promise. Yeah, don't worry.
But I'm going to visit very soon, you know, and I'm actually
Oh,
excited about it. I'm really looking forward to it. Now,
okay, fantastic.
in regards of the artists,
Yeah,
because we talk about all the nice things, yes, but let's talk about the problems. What
okay.
challenges do the artists from Peace Art commonly face, and how do you help them? How do
Yeah,
you
I
support
think that,
them?
yeah, so I think the biggest challenge that a lot of artists face is twofold, which are the two problems that we're trying to solve with Peace. One is money. A lot of
Mm,
artists, it's expensive to practice your art. You have to pay
it
for a studio
is.
space usually. That's on top of rent. You have to buy your materials, like, and equally, like, if something goes wrong, or say like you don't have, if you're trying something new and it doesn't go the way you want, there's no insurance for that. That just sort of happens. It's built in. And equally, um, it also kind of makes it so that artists don't have much purchasing power in like an arrangement where if somebody wants to buy a piece and it's listed for 10 and somebody comes in and says, I'll buy it for 3, from the artist's perspective, they might think, when will it be bought again? So in many ways, like, income is a big issue in the artistic community. So one of the
It
ways we're
is.
trying to solve that is by, again, helping, by connecting art that is in their storage, that they're not showing anywhere, that isn't consigned anywhere, and putting that up and doing a lot of outreach and getting it rented throughout different buildings in London, so that there's, like, again, a guaranteed sort of stable income for the artist, so that there's less pressure on them and they can practice their trade, their art, right? And then on the other side is profile. There are a lot of artists, and they're all competing for a very small number of buyers and the like. Um, but I think one of
Mm,
the things the piece is trying to do, one of the reasons why we're here, not obviously, I enjoy your company and I feel like we're almost best friends, but a lot of artists, they want profile, right? Like, they need to be seen, and they need to importantly have their work be seen. So we're trying to make it so that their art is both seen and rented or purchased, so that they can practice their art, like, in the future, because a lot of the works that we're dealing with, the pieces that we're dealing with, these are ones that artists have already shown, or that they've done a few years ago, or anything like this. It's art that's in storage, that isn't generating what it should be generating, both in terms of profile and in terms of income. And equally, for some of the more emerging artists, we're trying to get them the
mm,
profile at the moment now, without any sort of, some places they charge artists to give them that profile, and that's
yeah,
difficult, I think, to understand, because these are not necessarily the most, art is a hard game. And
it
so
is.
we're trying to take a different approach, which is why we're really lucky. We're an artist-led platform, so
Mhm.
usually we ask two questions when we make decisions: is it going to be good for the artist, and is it going to be good for peace?
Exactly.
And that's
Yes.
kind of our guiding light in this.
Mhm. So would you say that was mainly Anastasia's idea, or yours? Because the reason I'm asking it, okay, I will
I would
not say anything.
I like, yeah, prompt some tension. Let's do that. No,
Because I'm sure she went through that road, you know, experiencing having these problems. And sometimes when you're going through problems, then you want to help others, you know how to help them,
yeah, I think
so
it's
that's why.
I think I would say it's a cauldron of ideas that we've been brewing together, along with, like, some dear friends that have really been helpful along the way, and providing their ideas and their input and everything. I think definitely having Anastasia having her history of being an artist and understanding sort of like the goods and the not so good parts of it has definitely helped inform what we do, because in many ways, in many places, like especially for some competitors, they're not artist led. They have a different mindset. They have costs that we don't necessarily think should be passed on to the artist or the client. And I think what separates Peace is that artist-led idea, where it's like we've gone through the stages of it. And maybe not so much me, given I did say earlier that, I can barely finger paint, but, Anastasia has gone through the stages of it. She's gone through the process of it. And as a result, it makes it a lot easier to do what we do, because we know where the blisters are, the pain point.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I'm sure Anastasia is very proud of you, because she said, no, Michael can do this interview. I'd rather be backstage, so she's trusting
She's hiding behind the banner right now. She's gonna jump out at the end. No, I think the pride goes both ways. I think yeah, I think it's like one of those things.
It would be nice next time to have you both, because I like to see this energy between the two of you.
Yeah, I think why don't we'll schedule another one of these when we do our next show. We have a few lined up. We have a few lined up for a few months from now.
Yes,
once those are firmed up, we'll schedule another one of these, and then she can come and say the complete opposite of everything that I've said, and then we can see the tension develop. But no, I think I would say that I like to think that she's proud of me, but I definitely am proud of her, because I think it takes a lot of a human to go into business with somebody in an area where it's your specialty, right? And it's not just that, but to try and do it in a different way, where in many ways our idea, it's kind of disruptive, like in many ways in the art world, there are for such a industry where fundamentally it should be about the person doing it, the person that's creating, the artist that's making these pieces. In many ways, oftentimes they're kind of overlooked. And I see it when we were doing some of our competitor reviews, where it's like, from the artist perspective, like, what's in this for you? And I think having that person involved, it makes a night and day difference between something that we do and something that maybe is a bit more traditional, a bit more old school, and that's fine. There's obviously a place for that.
You're doing very well, so I'm sure you're on the right.
We appreciate the kind words. We appreciate the kind words.
Right. And before we finish, because we only have 3 minutes left, are there any upcoming projects or collaborations with Peace?
Yeah. So I can't get into all of the details, but I promise if you follow us on Instagram at Peace of Art London with underscores between all the words, you'll see. So we're in the process of setting up another exhibition with another embassy in a few months. It'll be nearby to the Cypriot High Commission. I can't give it away because we're in the final stages of negotiating it. So as that happens, I will update the community. And then equally, we are also in conversation with a few, how do we say this, political leaders that hopefully will be able to, again, announce this in the coming weeks, of doing a series of shows in a series of different government buildings throughout London, with the idea being, again, for Peace artists, having their work, their pieces shown in places where people that are the most likely to buy it and love it are, and making it easier for them to do it will provide them both the income and the profile that they're looking for. And that's what we're trying to do.
Fantastic. It sounds great. Good job. And I'm so looking forward to see the exhibition. Michael,
we're looking forward to hosting you, Vasula.
So, I mean, just to tell our viewers that they can see the exhibition at the Cyprus Sky Commission daily, I think 9 to 5, or they can check the website or social media, cultural section. And yes, also they can check for the guided tours. Thank you so much, Michael. All the best. Now, see you again.
Thank you, Vasula.
Αγαπητοί φίλοι και φίλες, εμείς θα τα πούμε και πάλι πολύ σύντομα με ένα καινούριο φιλοξενούμενο και ένα καινούριο θέμα. Καλό σας βράδυ.